Hey, what's going on? This is Eric B. Horn, and welcome to the Sunday night edition of the Ask Eric B. Live show. Um, what I'm gonna do is keep it light for this live stream. I'm gonna answer a couple of questions that I received via email, and also if you had any type of career or business challenge that you wanted me to answer on this stream, whether it's on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch, feel free to make a comment in the comment box and I'll see it over on my side and I'll answer it for you. So I'll be back after this quick intro. Later. And we are back. Happy Sunday evening. I hope you guys had a great weekend. If you were like me looking at who would be the next president, hopefully you have a sigh of relief knowing who's going to be our next president and vice president for the next 4 years. But like I said in my live stream yesterday, just because they'll be in office doesn't necessarily mean the work has to stop or should stop on our end. We still need to build our careers. We need to still build our businesses or just build you as a whole. Just because a certain group of individuals are in the White House doesn't mean that you have the option to stop. Actually, now you need to put the pedal to the metal and continue to grind. Continue to grind as if the current president will be in the next office for the next 4 years, right? That's my overall opinion. I really don't like to get into politics because it ends up being an argument, and I'm not an expert, but I do, know and experience what you guys experience not only through the United States but also through the world for the past 4 years. And if you didn't vote, you really don't have the right to complain. That's all I'm going to say about that. But like I said before the intro, this evening is the Sunday version of Ask Eric B Live, where what I'm going to do is answer a couple of questions that I got via email, and hopefully the questions that I ask, the questions that I will answer, you can take that information and apply that to what's going on with you. I'm not going to be on too long because I hear my daughter and my wife upstairs, so I want to spend some time with them before the day is over. But I still want to answer some questions. And if, like I said, if you guys have a question, if you're looking at this on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch, there's a comment box. Feel free to ask a question below, and I'll make sure I'll answer it. Right. But without further ado, let's get into the first question. Okay. So Paul says, how do you handle desk jobs that actually require nonstop work for 8 hours? I keep hearing people talk about jobs where they are only productive for 2 to 3 hours. Well, you really didn't, Paul, you really didn't go into great detail about what you do. However, let me get really granular. So if a job is working you 8 hours nonstop without any type of breaks, then they may need to be reported to either the Better Business Bureau or some other labor law organization. Reason being, technically you're supposed to get 2 breaks and 1 lunch. So I don't know if you were just, I'm not saying over exaggerating, but you were just saying, they're working you like a dog. But in the event, if you're working 8 hours straight, you definitely need to talk to some labor law people so you can figure out what you need and what you deserve. But to answer your second question, you keep hearing people talk about jobs that are only productive for 2 to 3 hours. What type of job is that? You are paid to be productive while you are on the job, right? Regardless if you even have your own business. Now, you may have certain waves and peak hours of production, but in this day and age, with the shortage of work that's out there, that means the people that were spared their jobs, they're taking on more work. So I don't know of any jobs out there that you're only productive 2 to 3 hours unless you're doing something illegal. Like I said, I just want to be very open and honest. But you may want to figure out what you actually would want to do, right? That's the premise because you're going to be bouncing from job to job to job if you just focused on, you know, being productive for only a certain amount of hours. Because what would happen if that changes and instead of you working 2 to 3 hours of being productive, you're productive 5 to 6 or even 7. Are you going to switch jobs? And if you do, then you're going to be labeled as an overall job hopper. So take a step back, figure out what you want to do because it sounds like you're at a job where you don't even like it in the first place. And if it's reason being, when you're at a job where you don't even like it in the first place, you find the littlest things and blow it up. I know I've done it on a couple of jobs when in actuality it was just I really didn't like the job function, right? I really didn't like what I was doing and everything seemed like it was hell in a sense, right? So take a step back, figure out what you want to do, but you may want to remove the fact that you're being productive for only 2 to 3 hours a day because it sounds like you're just trying to, take some shortcuts when it comes to being overall productive. Not knocking you, but I just want you to be realistic, right? Question number two. Jane says, I quit my first corporate job 3 to 4 months in because I was miserable. Should I put it on my resume for other companies? If this is your first corporate job, more than likely you sound like you just graduated from college. And if you just graduated from college and in the midst of this pandemic and you was able to work 3 to 4 jobs, I commend you. But um, I would say I would put it on my resume. However, you better be prepared to explain why you quit clearly because that experience could help you land your next job, but you definitely have to be open and honest on why you left 3 to 4 months. Jobs in general, they're looking for overall stability. They're looking for someone that can stay on the job at least 6 months to a year, right? But if you only did a quarter of that, what was the overall reason? And then moving forward, what are you going to do so that situation may not happen again, right? Just you saying that comment, there's a lot of other questions that there's a lot of other lot of loose information, right? Because was it only 3 to 4? Was it the overall commute? Was it your boss had it in for you? Was it you thought you could do the job and you couldn't? What were the things that led up to you only lasting between 3 to 4 months? And once you get the truth, you want to tell an employer that because you better believe once you put it on your resume and they see only for a quarter they're going to ask what was the reason why didn't you stay because they don't want to bring you on excuse me as an overall risk because they're thinking this person's going to leave 3 to 4 months. So put it on your resume because you do have that overall experience, but be prepared to explain the reason why you were only there 3 to 4 months, right? The next question, my manager, this is from Shayna. uh, my manager intentionally withheld news that my promotion was denied so he can manipulate me to work harder during our busiest 2 months of the year. You have any advice? Whew, wow. So if what you're saying is true and your boss manipulated you, you need to really figure out if you want to continue to work there, right? This in this day and age, it's an employer's market, meaning that they're the employer has so many other options to choose from as opposed to more jobs than people to fill these jobs. So you want to take a step back and figure out what was his or her overall intention of, you know, withholding some information to you with regards to your overall promotion. Specifically, your promotion is being denied. That also looks at it like, do you trust this person now? More than likely, you probably will not, because any type of relationship, whether it's a personal relationship or even a professional relationship, when it's between your coworkers or your boss and your coworkers, you want to make sure there's a high level of transparency, right? Especially if you both knew that this particular promotion was on the table, right? And if they withheld that information, you really want to look at it like, do you really want to continue to work for this person, right? Or I'm not trying to say you just need to go over your boss's head, but you and whoever your boss is needs to have a conversation on what was the reason why they withheld that information. Was it justifiable? Was it something to just, hold dangle over your head and motivate you? Regardless of what it is, you need to have some sort of explanation because they owe that to you, right? And I've seen this happen with so many people where the person, the manager or the director or the supervisor leverages a promotion that's really not there over the head over someone to get even more out them. It's not ethical, right? And with it not being ethical, that opens up the window. Once again, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but if I was in that situation, I would really question myself to say, do I still want to continue to work for this person? And times with us being in this overall pandemic, you need your job, but you definitely need to start putting forth the effort of finding someone else. I was at a previous company where my boss, he didn't do anything of that nature, but he failed to take initiative. He was very passive, and he had a high level of passive aggressiveness in a sense, and it was really a bad fit, right? If you're in that position, I expect you to lead as opposed to just sitting back and waiting for us to do everything. Um, and it makes you feel some type of way. I had a decreasing level of trust for this individual, and it got to a point where I didn't respect him at all because he wasn't doing what he was paid to do, right? So, and once I got in that position, it was hard for me to turn that off in my mind, right? And I'm pretty sure you're hurt, you're disappointed, even though when it comes to work, it's business and it's not personal, but you felt like you were baited and switched. So I would definitely have a conversation with him or her on what was their motivation behind it, because it may be a justifiable reason. I don't see any way, but you got to hear him or her out, but then also after that discussion, figure out if you still want to continue to work for him or her. 9 times out of 10, people will start the process of looking for another opportunity, which makes sense to me. But you do need your job, especially when it comes to what's going on with this overall pandemic. So I hope that served you well. So John, and he put urgent with the very beginning. Okay. What job involves numbers for first year math majors with no prior experience? Ooh, that's a good question. So I I'm not a math major, right? But what I do know is professions like being an accountant or being a teacher, or an engineer or whatever have you. But if you've gotten your degree with first year Wait, what jobs involve numbers for first year math majors with no prior experience? Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I read that wrong. So if you are a math major with no prior experience, you could possibly be, well, first and foremost, you need to figure out what you want to do, right? Because there's so many professions that involve math. Like I said, you have an engineer, because that's a heavy amount of math. You have computer science, which has a math component. You have math teachers. You have so many angles. But just for the sake of discussion, if you are going down the road where you are going to get your degree in math, you may want to look at being a teacher, right? Um, because math is one of those majors where the component you can do a lot with, but if you just major strictly in math, from my understanding, there's not that many career paths you can go down. And based off of what I'm reading here, it may be something that you may just want to use as a possible component. Use that math component to forego other opportunities, right? But to get more in depth, since you are in school, you want to talk to your career counselor or even go to your career service center and ask these type of questions, so if you continue to go down the road of majoring in math, you can get a professional assessment of the avenues that you can go down. Or even better yet, what you can do is just Google, careers for math majors or careers with math components. That will be the best thing that I can suggest to you, because math is not my forte, but I do know that there are a lot of majors that you can use the concept of math in as a component with an overall career. But Google it. That can be your first step. And then, take that information and talk to your career counselor so you can have a more in-depth conversation. So, because if you do have to change majors, now's the best time to do it. Because if you do have that passion for math, you can find another element where you could combine the math into whatever you have going on, right? So what I'm gonna do is take a quick 30-second break for me to dig through my emails and find some other questions. Once again, if you are looking at this on Facebook or YouTube or Twitch and you had a career or business question that you wanted to ask me, make sure you put it in a comment and I will make sure that I do my best to answer it. Once again, this is Ask Eric B Live with Eric B Horn, and I'll see you guys back in 30 seconds. And we are back. Welcome to the second half of the Q&A version, Sunday version of the Ask Eric B live show. Once again, this is Eric B Horn, and if you are now joining me, thank you for taking time out of your Sunday at 8:41 Central Standard Time for me to, do my best to answer these career and business questions. This is what I enjoy doing, and I like to be a vessel to help people gain the knowledge that they need so they can get a job or maintain their career or business so they can take care of themselves or their family. And right before the break, I said if you guys had a question on Facebook or on YouTube or on Twitch, and you had a question, feel free to leave it in the comment box and I will definitely answer it. So the next question is, how do you stay sane in your mid-career? Now, that's a very good question. It was a good enough question where I wrote a ebook, a manual on it. It was called the 5 Pillars to Maintaining Your Mid to Avoiding a Mid-Career Crisis, right? Because when you are fresh out of college and when it comes to your degree, you're excited, you want to utilize the knowledge that you gained in school so you can get a job and flex your intellect, right? However, when it gets to the point where it hits the 6 or 7 year mark, a lot of questions start to come in your mind, and a lot of thoughts, and sometimes a lot of frustration, because it gets to a point where when you're in the mid part of your career, you start to plateau for a minute. Or if you're continuing to do the same thing over and over and over again, you will start to plateau, and it gets to a point where in your mid-career do you start to question, should I still continue to stay in the career that I'm in? Am I thriving? If I'm not thriving, do I need to go back to school, or do I need to get a new job, or whatever have you? So there's a lot of components for you to question yourself when you're in your mid-career, right? Because you see a lot of people go into school for one major and then they go back for their master's in an entirely different field, right? Because they feel that they can't get any further in the current career. Some people don't even have this problem. They're going about their career and moving in the right direction, but how they go about it is they immediately take control of their career, and they're always pushing, and they always continue to find that overall passion in what they're doing. Early in my career, I made the mistake of getting into IT because it paid a lot of money, as opposed to me being very passionate about it. I thought that the passion will come when the money came, but it got to a point where I was making a substantial amount of money, but I lost my overall passion and I had to shift careers, right? And I shifted careers into the career management, professional development, entrepreneurial space because that's where my overall passion was sitting. Now, I could have intertwined the IT into those endeavors, but there was the main reason why I transitioned out of IT is because I got burnt out. I was making a substantial amount of money, but I felt like I was dragging every single day. And every day that I went to this particular job, it felt like it was like the guy that I answered the question before. I felt like I was working 8 hours a day. It was super productive all the time, but I really wasn't getting any fulfillment out of it. Right. So I got to a point where it was a blessing in disguise where I got downsized. And based off of me being downsized, it gave me an opening to go into another space. Right. And it was a more space that I was more passionate about. But to answer this question, you may want to do, well, not may want to, you will want to do an assessment of where you are in your career, an honest assessment. And that assessment can even easily start with, am I happy still doing what I'm doing? And a lot of times people get stuck based off of that because they try to merge the happiness with money. And I understand that you need money to sustain yourself, right? But if what's the point of working these crazy hours if you're making all this money and if you are unhappy? I've seen people where they make a lot of money, but they hate what they're doing. And what they hate what they're doing, it gets to a point where they are down on themselves, they feel depressed, and it starts to spiral out of control, right? But ask yourself, are you still happy with what you are doing? And if you are not, is there a way that you can take what you are doing and put that in a different function? I'll give you a prime example. So I worked with a client where this woman was a high-powered lawyer, right? She had a very visible job, making well over six figures. She was doing her thing, right, from the outside looking in. But after having a conversation with her and her breaking down, she hated what she was doing. And the reason why she hated what she was doing is because she really didn't want to be a lawyer. But her mother's a lawyer, her dad's a lawyer, so she followed in that trend. So after doing some soul searching and asking if did she want to stop being a lawyer, she didn't want to stop being a lawyer because she spent and invested a lot of time and energy. However, she had a passion for art. So right then and there, I figured out a way where she can merge her being a lawyer and with art, because when it comes to high, very expensive pieces of art, there's a legal aspect to it also. So she did a research, did a due diligence, and then she got to a point where she became a lawyer for a high powered like art firm, art gallery, or I don't know, whatever you call it, Shishi Poo Poo Art Gallery, or whatever the case may be. So she deals with all of the legal pieces, and she loves what she's doing because she's able to still apply her legal, what's the word? Legal knowledge. That's the word. I just blanked out. And her passion for the arts. So in your mid career, if you don't like what you're specifically doing, is there a way that you can merge what you're doing into an area where you are passionate about? Now, there's a whole stream of questions that I do ask someone when it comes to this overall assessment, but those are the top two to get the juices flowing in the brain. So if you are in a position where you feel like you're plateauing in your mid-career, ask yourself those first two questions. And then after that, then you can start to spiral down and figure out what you need to do to get on that road to finding happiness where your career can start to traject even more as opposed to plateauing, right? But we've all been there. I've been there. I'm pretty sure people who are viewing this or that will view this has been there when it comes to their mid-career, and it's totally normal because if you are in a midpoint of your career, you've gained hopefully so much knowledge and so much experience outside of the school knowledge that you've learned. So now you can form an opinion on what you do like and what you don't like, right? And also, is it good for your family or whatever the case may be? But if you are in a midpoint in your career and you feel like you are at a plateau, ask yourself those first two questions. Once again, do you like what you are currently doing? Because some people say they do like what they're currently doing. So it may be a situation where they may not like what they're doing at that particular job or in that particular industry or that particular sector or whatever have you. So you can figure out that. And or if it's to a point where you don't like what you're currently doing, is there a way to merge what you are doing to what you would like to be doing? And a good 7 times out of 10, there's a market there for your expertise and what you would want to do, right? The time is it's 11 minutes before the time is up. So I just wanted to open the floor up. If any guys had any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to ask me and it will show up in the comment box. And once again, I want you to make sure that this is your opportunity to ask me advice that I charge for, right? If you would find me anywhere else that's not on this particular platform and you ask me a question, or some type of coaching advice in a sense, I'm gonna charge you, right? So definitely, if you have any questions, feel free to ask now. If not, um, thank you guys for your overall time, energy, and things of that nature. Starting next week, I'm gonna do a full week session on the strategies on how to prepare yourself to interview, how to show up at the interview, how to actually um, knock the interview out the park, and also how to go through the overall negotiation piece. This is something that so many people have been asking me about, and I'm to be transparent. I'm in the process of finding my next opportunity. So everything that I will tell you, I'm doing right now, and I'm still at the point where I'm close to a new opportunity, but I can't let the cat out the bag. But regardless, it is an overall process. And some instances and some people, it's going to be relative. Even though you've been working for a massive amount of time and you may have gotten laid off or you quit your job or whatever, you have a lot of people that have been working at a job for 5, 10, 15 years and they're looking for a new opportunity and they don't know how to interview, they don't know how to prepare. So this week-long series will point you in the right direction, because just because you lost your understanding of how to interview and things of that nature doesn't necessarily mean that you can't repick these skills up and apply them so you can find your next opportunity, right? So, once again, thank you guys for your time. If you are looking at the replay of this and you still have some questions, put it in the comment box, and either myself or my team will answer those questions for you so we can get you right. You guys have a good Sunday, and I will see you guys tomorrow for the full series on succeeding in your interview. Have a good one, guys.